Bangladesh is the most densely populated country of the world. Many people questioned why you are not closing down our border. Then our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said, if I can fit 170 million people, I can fit 1 million plus. I would not close my border. We have not only opened our border, we have opened our heart also. If we see refugee camps in Europe, if we see refugee camp in Australia, if we look at refugee camp in US, Bhasanchar is much better. Refugees came to Bangladesh from Myanmar. And 1991, 92, again hundreds, thousands of Rohingya refugees came to Bangladesh. And in 2017, more than 700,000 Rohingya refugees came to Bangladesh. I'm from the region, I'm from Chittagong. Even in my village, there are Rohingya refugees. Though my village is more than 120 kilometers far from Myanmar border, more than 120 kilometers. But still, there are many Rohingya refugees in my village who came in 1960s, who came in 1977, who came in 1991, 92. And all of them are incorporated in the society. They are holding Bangladeshi passport, they have voter ID card and everything. They are now no more Rohingya refugee. They are not treated anymore as Rohingya refugee in the society. They are called Bangladeshi. So in this way, over the decades, thousands, hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees have come to Bangladesh. And this is because systematic ethnic cleansing of Rohingya refugees done by the Myanmar and Burma government over the decades. Today, we are giving the figure that 1,200,000 or 1 million so and so. But according to my understanding, the Rohingya refugee, if I count from 1960s, I don't want to count since 1942. If I count since 1960, then about 2 million Rohingya refugees are in Bangladesh. And since 2017, 150,000 newborn children from the Rohingya refugees. So how would be the figure? So this is one of the most vulnerable community in the world. Like other communities, I can give you the example of other community like Philistine refugees. So this is one of the most vulnerable community in the world. Today, we are talking about humanity, human rights, and everything. And human beings have gone to moon. Human beings are trying to go to the Mars, and human beings exploring the universe. But what we are doing for the refugees in the planet Earth, that is a big question. When the people try to cross US border from Mexico, then many people are killed there. Children are separated from their parents. And after a few years, then when children are given back to their parents, children cannot recognize their parents. And when the people are trying to come from East Africa to Europe, European Union, people are drawn in the sea, in the Mediterranean Sea. Hundreds of people are every year drawn in the sea. And you have seen a video in the social media, thanks to the social media, and thanks to the media as well, because they have uploaded in the social media. You have seen a video of some Bangladeshi refugees who are trying to go to Western Europe from East Europe, in the jungle of East Europe. They are not given any shelter, no regular food, no water. And look at Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is an overpopulated country. 170 million people in this country. Bangladesh is the most densely populated country of the world. Per square kilometer, 1,260 people per square kilometer. This is the highest in the world. Bangladesh is the country where per capita arable land is the lowest in the world, only 10 decimal in the world. And Bangladesh is a country having recurring climatic events, flood, drought, cyclone, storm, etc. Still, Bangladesh has given refuge, to my understanding, so far, 2 million Rohingya refugees. When Rohingyas were coming to Bangladesh in 2017, many people questioned why you are not closing down our border. Then our Prime Minister ⵛʰឆឆឆ said, if I can fit 170 million people, I can fit 1 million plus. I would not close my border. And she has shown the sympathy to the Rohingya refugees and broadness of our country, of our nation. We have not only opened our border, we have opened our heart also. Because the people in that region, they have become minority now there. In Ukhiya and Teknaf, they are minority now. Number of Rohingya refugees are 1 million, and population of Ukhiya and Teknaf, I think, around 500,000. So they have become minority, but they have opened their heart also. They have given food, shelter, whatever they could in the beginning. Afterward, everybody came, everybody went there. And that's why Sheikh Hasina has been termed as by UK-based Channel 4 and also by Diplomat magazine, Mother of Humanity. Sheikh Hasina is truly Mother of Humanity. But today, what is happening there? It has become already a burden on Bangladesh because the discussant has elaborately discussed what are the crises, what are the problems are created by the Rohingya refugees. There was a deep forest in the region where the shelters are made for the Rohingya refugees. And that was the sanctuary for elephant. I am a student of environmental science. I was environment secretary of our party for 10 years. I was environment minister for 5 years. I was environment committee chair in the parliament for 5 years. So I am an environmental activist. I know that was the place for elephant. So at the beginning, you have seen the news in the newspapers and in the media, in the electronic media, that very often elephant would come to the Rohingya camp because that is their place actually. We have occupied the place. And environment has been destroyed and social instability has been created. All types of crimes are taking place there. And most importantly, Rohingya refugee camp has become a place, breeding place for fanatism. And that has become a place for the recruitment by the fanatic group, militant group, the people recruitment place. Rohingya camp has become a recruitment place. We are struggling to combat terrorism in Bangladesh. We are successful to some extent. I would say we are very successful than many developed countries to combat terrorism, but Rohingya refugee camp has become a breeding place, space for fanatism and for the recruitment of militant people by the militant groups. This is a big crisis. This is not the crisis, this is not the problem for Bangladesh alone, this is the problem for the region as a whole. So the solution to the Rohingya refugee is essential, and immediate solution to the Rohingya problem is essential. But the problem is, focus of the international community has been shifted after the Russia-Ukraine war. The focus of international community has been shifted to the refugees from Ukraine. And at the beginning, there were a lot of focus, but not any more focus on the Rohingya refugee. I think that is very elaborately understood by the UNHCR representative here, because he is facing the problem for getting assistance from the international community. So what is the responsibility? Very often I see in the newspaper, and people come from different countries, from different organizations, from UN organization, international organization, they talk about the well-being of the Rohingya refugees. They don't talk much on their repatriation of the Rohingya refugees. This is the problem. We debate on whether Rohingya refugees would stay in Ukhiya, Teknaf, or they would go to Bhasanchar. At the beginning, there were many objections that Rohingya refugees should not send to Bhasanchar. But Bhasanchar is a shelter has made especially for the Rohingya refugees, and the facilities is much better than many refugee camps around the globe. If we see refugee camps in Europe, if we see refugee camp in Australia, if we look at refugee camp in US, Bhasanchar is much better. But at the beginning, there are many objections by the NGOs, because for the NGOs it is difficult for them to operate because they need to cross the ocean. They cannot stay at 5-star hotels in Bhasanchar because in Cox's Bazar they can stay in 5-star hotel and they can operate their operation from the 5-star hotels. But in Bhasanchar there is no facility for that. This is my understanding, my personal understanding, not as a government minister I'm saying. As a person I'm saying, and for that there are many objections at the beginning, but later on they have come to understand, yes, Bhasanchar is much better shelter for the Rohingya refugees. So many are sent there. So we see from the international community time to time to give suggestions to Bangladesh how Rohingya refugees could be taken care in a better way and so and so, but we don't see much pressure on Myanmar, so that Myanmar agrees to bring them back. This is their citizen. From Rohingyas, they were a minister in the Burma cabinet in 1960s, 1950s. And there are many MPs just 2 decades, 3 decades back from the Rohingya community. And now they are saying they are not our citizen, all upon a sudden. So what international community is saying to them? We don't see mounting pressure on them. If total international community join hand, especially China and India, also join hand properly, effectively, then I believe there is no way to escape the responsibility by the Myanmar junta. So this is the necessity today to put pressure on them. Thanks to International Criminal Court of Justice, I had the opportunity to sit with the Chief Prosecutor of Karim Assad Ahmed Khan, who is the Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court of Justice, Criminal Court. I went to Hague to meet with him. And they are working very effectively, and there is already some rules, 1 or 2 rules from International Criminal Court, and though the case has been filed by OIC, but behind is Bangladesh. And so this is our responsibility of the international community to help International Criminal Court. Look, Bangladesh is the signatory to the International Criminal Court. US is not signatory. Myanmar is not signatory. And other South Asian nations are not signatory. And we have become signatory to the International Criminal Court. And that was done by Sheikh Hasina's government. And that has enabled us to go to International Criminal Court. So now I believe that this is also important to help International Criminal Court. Bangladesh has taken up a holistic approach to ensure justice for the Rohingya victims and ensure their safe, secure, and dignified return to homeland. This is the only way to the solution. The safe, dignified return of Rohingya refugees, this is the only solution. This is not the solution. International community, we must understand this is not the solution. Picking some Rohingya refugees and taking them to Canada or taking them to Europe or America, this is not the solution. This is rather escalating the problem. Because when the refugees in Myanmar, they know that some refugees are taken by Western countries to their countries, they feel encouraged to come to Bangladesh. This is rather escalating the problem. This is not the solution. Solution is repatriation of the Rohingya refugees with their dignity, honor, and full civil right, and full right with their full right. So I would not elaborate my speech. Journalists have some question. I do not speak on political issues today here. No. This is not the forum to speak on political issues. If you have any question, you can ask me outside. Okay? So, finally, I would say that the only solution to the Rohingya problem is the immediate repatriation of the Rohingya refugees with their dignity, honor, and with all rights. And we want help from the international community in this regard. And this is important to put pressure on Myanmar from the international community so that they don't escape their responsibility. This is their citizen. They should take them back immediately. And thanks to Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, because despite being a country having highest density of population in the globe, she has given refuge to 1 million Rohingya refugees. Because we are refugees in 1971. 10 million people fled to India. I was a refugee in 1971. My family did not go to India. We were displaced in Bangladesh. My whole village was burned to ashes in 1971, and I became a refugee. At the beginning, my family went to a nearby village, then to another village, then to another village, and finally in December 1971, came back to my village, but not at my home, to a different place. So I was a refugee too. As we are a refugee in 1971, that's why our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has given refuge to now about 2 million. My understanding is 2 million. I'm from the region. I know the case than anybody else. So now there are almost 2 million refugees, Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Thanks to you all. Thanks to the organizers to invite me here.